Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on, people? Back with a bang. This is the Money Management, back to bring you guys another video today. So in this video, I'm going to be looking at a few trades we took this week, and then after that I'm going to go into what's coming up for this week. So what I'm watching, a few bits of news, all that stuff, the usual stuff. Before you start with that, I do want to say congrats to everyone in the Discord. This week we made a few gains. We did take some L's, but we also learned from them, recovered from them, bounced back. You know, we work together as a team, and hopefully we're going to continue to do that and get stronger together and keep pumping up portfolios. So let me start off with, we'll start off with this week's events, because there's a few different events and earnings this week. So I am looking forward to a few different earnings being reported. Most importantly Wednesday, most notably Wednesday. And then we've also got other bits of news as well. So on Wednesday, Q4 US GDP is going to be announced. And then Friday, we've got US PMI and also employment numbers coming out. So along with those, you've got different earnings being reported, as I said. But all in all, you need to just watch out for all those events in total. So Monday after close, Zoom and Workday. For those of you who are familiar with HR, tooling, equipment, you'll be familiar with Zoom and Workday. Some of you might even use both of them. But Workday are continuing to report good numbers. Workday do have good expectations, so I'm thinking that one's going to be moving on the way up. I don't plan on trading Workday, but I'm just saying, for those of you who are potentially looking at it, that is something maybe to keep your eye on. Lowe's and Norwegian Cruise Lines Tuesday before open. So with those two, what I'm looking at doing is we're going to have a look at the charts, but we're going to look at Royal Caribbean for Norwegian comparison, and then we're going to look at HD for a Lowe's comparison. And from there, we can deduce what we can expect to happen with these two stocks as well. Now, just to remind you, just because HD or Royal Caribbean did something doesn't necessarily mean Norwegian or Lowe's does the same thing. But I'm just going to be showing you a method to look at, for stocks that do report earnings. Tuesday after hours, couple I'm looking at. First of all, CAVA. This stock has been on a rampage recently. I do see this one continuing to push, continuing to rally. So I'll have my eyes on that. I don't plan on trading the earnings, but like I said, putting that on your radar, putting that on your map, so you do have a look at that as well. Then, of course, you guys didn't expect this one, but Lemonade down there at the bottom, ticker symbol LMND. Reason being, I am a shareholder, so I've been a shareholder since 2020. I'm actually long on Lemonade. So far, obviously, I'm in profit. It's been a bit shaky the last few years, but recently, past 6-7 months, it started to rise again. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at what Lemonade does. I'll be listening in, seeing how that fares, but I am long on Lemonade. And you might want to also keep your eyes on Beyond Meat as well, which we've obviously touched on in Discord. Then Wednesday is the biggest day, as I said. Before market, we've got Baidu. That is going to be interesting. One of the stocks from the Chinese sector. We'll see how that fares. Then after hours is really where it gets tasty. We've got Mara, we've got Snowflake, we've got Salesforce, we've got AMC, Okta as well, AI, even Paramount. Paramount actually visited Paramount Studios a couple months back in LA, so that was pretty interesting. Does that mean we're bullish on Paramount? I don't know. But all the rest, we're going to have a look at those. Mara, of course, a crypto stock. We're going to look at Coinbase as well later. Snowflake. If you look at stocks like Palo Alto, you'll see that, even if you're reporting good numbers, even if you're doing well, at this point, if you're not meeting, the top expectations like a stock like Nvidia is doing, you could be selling off. So we'll have our eyes on Snowflake, CRM as well, Salesforce. Then moving on to Thursday. Nothing really stands out to me apart from SoundHound. Nvidia is a shareholder of SoundHound, so that one is one we're going to have to look at. And then also it's a very cheap stock, so if you are looking to take a risk Thursday going into Friday, that might be one that catches your attention. And then Friday we've got Plug and Fubo. I'm a shareholder of Plug, so I'll be looking at that and have my eyes on that. And then Fubo will just be interesting to keep an eye on as well. So back over to Yahoo Finance. Let's see what to know this week. Let's see. Yep, and so this is really kind of how the week panned out. And in fact, obviously Nvidia's been mentioned. I'm going to start by touching on Nvidia. Nvidia, this past week, they did a shakedown. I'm serious, they did a proper shakedown this week. They shook out people, they confused people, they did, they pulled it back, they pushed it up, they did all sorts of things with Nvidia. They messed around with it. But it does teach us a lot about the markets. I got fooled. Many people got fooled. I think right now, in terms of swing trading, at least this past week, a lot of people got destroyed. Now, there are all sorts of people getting smacked because, let's pull up the chart for Nvidia. Because during the run up to earnings, look what they did to it. They tanked it. They tanked Nvidia. We're going to see the run up to earnings now. So this is the run up to earnings, right? First couple of days, here we go. Tanked it by like $75 in total. Obviously, earnings happen now, and boom, it flies up. And then Friday, tanked it again. So it's like they toyed with it, they messed up, a lot of people. Day trading was a lot easier with Nvidia, as you can see. But if you wanted to catch the big moves, that was the overnight swings, it was hard to predict. Going into earnings, everyone was bullish. Of course we were bullish, as we had a right to be. But then the stock price and stock price action just didn't reflect the same sentiment. Then after earnings, we're like, okay, we're bullish, it's going to continue going. And we thought, okay, Friday hitting new highs, we're going to continue pushing. Nope, sold off quite quickly after open. And I think a lot of people, because if you saw the volume of the contracts, the $1,000 calls for Friday, the $900 calls for Friday, the 950s, or even more 1100s, there was a lot of volume in those. So all of those got destroyed. Let's be honest, all of those got destroyed. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes. I traded AMD calls Friday. AMD calls got clapped quickly, and luckily we changed the puts. But then, long story short, we got shooken out of those, so it was a bit of a mess. But yeah, Nvidia this past week was really what you call market making. Those first 2 days leading up to earnings, a complete myth, and then after earnings, just the way it closed out the week, a myth again. So I do think it's going to go back up to 800 very quickly this week, and we move on to 900, maybe 1,000 by end of March. But let's just keep our eyes on it. Now moving on to the other stocks. As I mentioned before, let's just touch on a couple of earnings. Workday, I don't see why it would drop. Cava, Lemonade, I'm long. But the two I said that I want to check on. So Royal Caribbean, right? This is what Royal Caribbean did recently. Very similar to Nvidia, actually. Sold off, jumped up overnight, sold off again. If we bring up the 4-hour chart, you'll see we're due to pull on back. But if we do pull on back, we could see some kind of consolidation similar to these levels from before, around 119, before we maybe push on higher. Now, just to do the comparison, we want to look at Norwegian cruise lines. Is that not a ticker for Norwegian cruise lines? Let me see what. NCLH, of course, my fault. So yeah, Norwegian cruise lines has just been selling off. Consolidated in January, sold off. Starting to show signs of weakness again. You could be on for puts, but like I said, this is the daily chart. Moving averages all crossing to the downside. We got rejected at 200. Looks like there's more, potential for more bearish momentum, bearish movement, bearish price action. Back down to like 1589, these lows where we wicked off of a couple times in the month of February. And then we go back to Royal Caribbean. You see this how it's completely different. So here, one thing to note is the last couple earnings, Royal Caribbean, crazy price action. And then this earnings, also crazy price action. Both ended up red. And if you compare that to Norwegian was red, last earnings. Earnings before that, sold off heavily. So summarizing the whole total comparison, I'm expecting to see more of a sell-off now at earnings before a recovery, sharp recovery right after earnings. Again, I don't plan on trading earnings for Norwegian Cruise Lines, but I'm just putting out my opinion there. Let's move on to lows. Lows, I'm bullish, to be honest. Look at HD. Beautiful chart. Sold off back in October, recovered great since. Gapped up twice at earnings, always good signs. The last two earnings gapped up twice. Compare that to lows. Forgetting my tickers today. There we go. Lows, also a great chart. Gapped down last earnings, and this time we'll see what happens. We're a bit overextended slightly, approaching a resistance at 234, but I am bullish on lows. So if I zoom out a little bit more, you can see we've come from highs of, I think, 263 all the way back to 232. We still have room to push up to 235 and then eventually start making our way back up to 262 before you break higher. So that's lows and Norwegian. Now looking at Salesforce, this is a Wednesday one. I am bullish on Salesforce. I think we push back up to the highs of 300. leading up to the earnings, and then when earnings comes, who knows what's to happen. Last earnings, gapped up. Earnings before that, gapped up. Last few earnings have been strong for Salesforce. They usually do report great numbers, when in terms of customer relationship management and having a good CRM. A lot of companies are using Salesforce, whether it's the old edition or the Lightning edition. A lot of companies are using Salesforce. They usually report good numbers. They have good numbers. Volume is there. Market capitalization is still not as high as I'd expect, but they're making their way there. They're definitely the number one CRM in the world. Sorry to those of you who are HubSpot users, but yeah, Salesforce is definitely up there. So we might see something similar to NVIDIA with Salesforce, where they sell it off the first couple of days of the market and then just push it up. So don't be surprised if it sells off. See it sold off a little bit here and then just recover straight away. Similar story with Snow, but Snow, like I said with Palo Alto, Snow, you got to be careful. If Snow slightly miss, even slightly miss or just meet expectations, you could see this sell off. We saw it with Palo Alto. There you go. And they just slightly missed. I mean, honestly, be careful with Snow. I would like to take calls going into first couple of days of the week, see if we can push back up about $7 or $8. But I am saying, again, be careful. Snow have actually had a really good quarter, Q4 last year. But again, with these cloud software technologies, if you're not doing the big stuff like NVIDIA right now, you can see, that it's not enough for you to keep your stock price rallying just because of an earnings call. So yeah, keep your eyes on Snow. I would not be shocked or surprised to see a huge sell-off with that one. Then enough about earnings. Let's move on to the stocks that we like to trade usually. So Tesla, we traded Tesla calls, we traded Tesla puts this week. Most notably Thursday, we traded Tesla calls. Where we got in a little bit earlier and then it started to rally again and we got back in and that one paid off. Now, I still have Tesla trading in my little channel here. I actually think it's time to get those Tesla calls for $215 to $230 for end of March. I think those are what people should be looking at. Give you enough time to expiry. It's kind of consolidating in between the moving averages here. We break towards 200 and we always sell back off to 190. We're kind of stuck in that little channel in that range right now. But we have broken out of the lows, right after earnings, where we were around 180 to 190. We have broken up higher than that. So I'll just pull that one up. It's interesting to see what will go on here. I think Tesla's still one you're going to have to day trade a little bit here and there. Swinging is very risky. But if you do want a longer swing, so not 2-3 days, but more like a week, 2 weeks, I'd say go for the 215 to 220 to 225 calls for, about a month out, 30 days out. Then go into Oxy because we traded Oxy this week. Well, at least I traded Oxy calls. A lot of you traded Exxon instead. Oxy has started to consolidate around this moving average. Now, intraday, if you look at the hourly, you'll see a bit of a double top here, right? So which is why it's kind of sold off the last couple of days. But one thing to note with Oxy, check different time frames. Again, that consolidation between the moving averages. And then if you go zoom out a little bit more, we're not breaking above that 200 MA properly. And this has happened multiple times over the last 5 or 6 months. We wick off the 200 moving average and we sell off. Push up, don't break, we reject, we sell off again. So just watch what happens here. I wouldn't be surprised. It's a very tricky one to swing trade. I wouldn't be surprised if we sell off from here, but ironically we broke off the moving average here and then pushed close to the moving average again. So again, for day trades, I think this is nice to trade. It's not too difficult. It's quite simple actually, especially when you look at the lower time frames, the 15-minute and inch and so on intraday. Over a longer period, it's not looking great. For swing trades, I wouldn't recommend Oxy right now. Then we're going to go into AMD, which is following a lot of what NVIDIA is doing. So Friday, I got calls. You see, the first couple 5-minute candles were good. Well, more the first 5-minute candle, to be honest. And then that third 5-minute candle was disgusting, to be honest. Started selling off, moving averages crossed to the downside. I was a bit late getting inputs, but did sell for around a 40% gain. When in theory, could have come all the way with a lot more, but it's all good. One thing about this market is when it's time to take profits, you should just take your profits and move on. Look at this. push up day 1, push up day 2, sell off day 3. It's just the market we're in right now. You just need to be aware. And then lastly, I'm going to go with the Qs, QQQ. I'm going to go to the daily chart for this, and I'm going to zoom all the way out. As you can see, in the last year, we are very overextended. We have rallied from lows of 272 all the way to 440. We're extremely overextended, but it doesn't mean it's time to sell. This can keep going. It still has steam. Eventually it's going to sell off or pull back at least. It still has steam. Look how overextended it has been, and look how far away it's been trading from the moving averages. Doesn't mean that it can't continue going. It continues pushing higher. I see it going higher again. 440 at least we should touch at least once. In the first couple of days before Wednesday, with the tech stocks that are going to report, the cloud stocks are going to report. Let's see how the Nasdaq fares. I mean, if you even pull up the weekly chart for this, you just see a whole lot of green recently. From October, just a whole lot of green. 2 red weeks from October. That's like 2 out of 15 weeks. Crazy. But just keep it on your radar. As I said, don't be too quick to look at the puts. Look at different time frames before you do anything. The 4-hour time frame is just, especially in regards to moving average, it's just confusing. You gotta have some serious balls about you to try and short this right now. It's overextended, but it's continuing to push. So just watch for it to pull back and then push higher. That's all I'm looking at. If it does start selling off drastically for any odd reason, then we can look at swinging puts. But right now it's just a gamble really to swing puts. You're taking a lot of risk on, especially with the shorter term expiries. So I wouldn't recommend. Last and not least, we're going to go with Coinbase because Mara reports earnings this week. Coinbase seemed to have double topped here. Bitcoin also hit 52k and sold off. Bitcoin kept making like new yearly highs and new 2-year highs, and crypto is still strong. So with Mara reporting Thursday or Wednesday, I'll be looking at how it pans out from now till then. Coinbase, I'm bullish. Coinbase, I still have a 175 price target short term, which I think we will push up to again. So that's around here before we potentially sell off. But again, looking at the daily chart, looking at the 4-hour chart, you see that 4-hour chart starting to consolidate, could start selling off. Daily chart, seem to have double topped, but like I said, I expect it at least intraday to push up a little bit more, push up a good $10 still before selling off. So like I said, I am bullish on Coinbase, but you got to be careful because we did push up very quickly from October till December. We sold off drastically, and then again the month of February, we just took off, pushed up like $70 in such a short period, especially with earnings. So yeah, Coinbase, I'm looking at that as well. And of course, if you guys have any other stocks you want to know about or have questions about, come and talk about that in the Discord. For those of you who are not in the Discord, it is just where we talk about stocks. We do our watch list, we do our breakdowns, live trade, throw our opinions in there, obviously joke around a bit as well every now and then. And most importantly is try to help each other make money. So yeah, come join the Discord, the Royal Trading Academy. And then the second link in the description, the stock option starter pack. That is 10 videos for you guys. You have access to those videos for life. If you don't know anything about stock options, then that is definitely for you. If you know a little bit about stock options, then that is definitely for you. You guys get the deal. So yeah, go check that one out. It's a one-time payment and you get access to that one for life. And then lastly, make sure to follow me on all social media. You guys know the deal. Links are in the description below. But that's it from me. Catch me in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, again, go join it. And most importantly, guys, have a great evening. Drop the thumbs up, hit the like button, share this with your friend, comment, and of course, subscribe. Thank you so much for watching today's video. That's it for me. I got money to making, you got money to making. See you guys next time for another video. Peace.